even though I just hit the button before I asked you if you were ready.
Are we ever ready for you to hit the button?
Yeah.
No, including myself. I am a serial button hitter, though. Like, I see the button, it gets in my line of sight, and like, it's being clicked. There's really no recourse here.
That's fair, because what are buttons except for to be pushed?
Yeah, why have a button that no one is supposed to push? Like, what's the point? It's like a cheeseburger that no one's supposed to eat.
Yeah, I'll pass on the cheeseburger.
Well, yeah, as soon as I said that, I realized that 1/3 of us would not be
I was
partaking.
with you, though. That makes sense. I was trying to go for something funny, but I should have known better than try to do that. So
I will, however, push the button.
Oh, the button that starts the Fairly KickAss podcast?
Yeah, that one.
Nice. I think we have started officially.
you know what buttons I love to push, just because we're talking about buttons and pushing things?
What's that?
The ones that say do not push. Love
Best
pushing
buttons.
those buttons.
Because the best shit happens when you push the button that says do not push.
Yes,
or at least the
one way
most
or the other.
interesting shit
True.
happens.
True. It's never like you hit the button that says do not push and just nothing happens, right? Like, there's always a reason. It's always an important reason.
Yeah.
Speaking of important reasons, there's an important reason that the three of us are sitting here on a Zencaster call on a random Monday evening, and that is to bring all of you, dear listeners, the latest episode of the Fairly Kick-Ass podcast. Tonight we are doing, I say tonight, it could be today. I don't know what time of day you listen to this thing. If you listen to it at all, like you've already failed yourself. What are you doing? But this episode, we started, I think the first one we did, I want to say in July of this year. It's called SomeOnes. And the concept is very, very us in the sense that it's very loose and has very little in the way of guardrails. Each of us is given a year before the show. My year was 1992. This is Zach, by the way. His year is 1981. That's Dan. And his year is 1995. That is Jay.
Woohoo.
Each of us has to find a number one song and talk about it. That's it. It can be a number one on the Billboard Hot 100 singles chart, which is probably the chart that everyone would think of when you say number one. It could be a number one on any other Billboard chart. It could be a number one on any chart anywhere in the entire world. You would think that opens up a lot of songs, and it does, but probably not as many as you might think. At least in my own experience when we did it the first time, I was kind of surprised at how narrow the scope was of songs. Granted, I didn't have every single country's charts at my fingertips, but I had a lot of them, and there was a lot of overlap. As you could expect, songs that are popular in different countries are popular in other countries around the world too.
It is kind of interesting to see that overlap and to see just exactly, like, we have the unique, well, not really unique because we're the big music market, it being here in the U.S., but we have the thing where it's interesting because there's to compare what can and can't go number one here as opposed to other countries, because here a song has to have a very wide appeal for one reason or another to catch that number one, to catch enough ears to get pushed up the chart, even in streaming days. And in smaller countries, in European countries, that may not be the case, which is also why I believe Do the Bartman is a number one song in the UK. Because it's something like that, the novelty song can catch fire and then rocket its way to number one. Even if for a week, it now then has that attached to it forever and ever.
Very true. And I don't know if it ever hit number one on a musical chart, but I know the Tom Green Bum song was a number one TRL song, and very much in the same vein.
Yikes.
And apologies if I make any of you remember that song, because oof, that's not ideal. That's not a good time for anyone.
Yeah.
I have to, though, because your bum is on the Swedish.
Swedish.
Oof.
That was the sound of tens of radios being turned off simultaneously.
That might be the most generous thing you've ever said on this show, dude. Imagine us getting tens of listeners. That would be swell. For anyone who's still there, Godspeed to you.
Call us and tell us why.
Right. Seriously. Jay, what about your experience with this one? Was it pretty similar to the first one that we did, or did you notice anything unique or interesting this time around?
So I mean, I did notice something very interesting. It's the thing I chose to talk about, but I didn't have to go outside the country for this one like I did for my last one when I went to Canada for their peak charts. But I found something here in the States that I could talk about in a very interesting capacity. But I found that 1995, because we had done something for 1990. I think we did a Billboard re-rank for 95 a long time ago. So none of the stuff that I could have talked about as a number one single in 95 would have been groundbreaking or fun for me to talk about. But I still found something. So what I hope you find it as interesting as I did.
I'm sure we will. I think these have all been super fun. When we did them before, I think we all three of us went in three different directions. Some traditional, some less traditional, some spawned a spin-off episode type, and maybe we're going to get another one. Maybe we'll get a backdoor pilot out of this. Maybe, but
I just really kind of hope that it's not come from the fact that I'm about to mention that Bryan Adams was a number one single for 6 weeks in 1995.
Oh no. I mean, you gave us the teaser already. I almost feel inclined, if you feel so inclined, to jump right into it.
I can do that. Do we do a timer for this one? I don't remember.
No, it's dealer's choice.
All right. Well, I wrote it as a 2-minute thing, so I'm going to add a couple of words and add to it. So,
nice.
The charts in 1995, as we learned from Billboard, are riddled with things like Boyz II Men and Mariah Carey. Both had single like On Bended Knee and then One Sweet Day with both of them. And Fantasy was also number one for like forever. Whitney Houston, Seal, TLC, and the aforementioned Bryan Adams, Madonna, and Montel Jordan all had Space as number one singles on the Billboard charts. None of those are fun to talk about. So I went to the College Music Journal, which charts all of the stuff that the kids are listening to these days. At least it used to. Back in 1995, it totally did. And when we talk about the CMJ charts in 1995, we tend to want to jump toward all the guitar-driven stuff that was happening in the mid-90s. And for good reason, because this is peak post-grunge, right? Bush had Everything Zen all over this chart, which, full disclosure, is what I originally wrote tonight's episode speech about.
Interesting.
Yeah. So Everything Zen was all over the college radio. Alanis Morissette was detonating speakers with You Ought to Know. And Elastica's Connection felt like it was stitched into everyone's consciousness. It was a rock moment, full stop. But that's exactly why the real story of 1995 is so fascinating, because the song that actually finished the year at number one on CMJ, the most played track across the entire network, wasn't a guitar anthem. It was Missing, the Todd Terry remix by Everything But the Girl. And that result is kind of mind-blowing when you think about it. So Everything But the Girl had been known for these delicate, jazz-tinged pop songs, beautiful, but very understated. And the original version of Missing fit that lane perfectly. Then Todd Terry gets a hold of it, and it flips it into this hypnotic, refined house track. And suddenly it's everywhere. Clubs, coffee shops, late-night college stations. And it became this unexpected gravitational force on alternative radio. What makes that moment remarkable is what it represents culturally. CMJ was the barometer for what alternative meant in the mid-90s. And by elevating a straight-up electronic remix to the very top spot, the network basically said, hey, the boundaries are shifting. Electronic music isn't just underground anymore. It's not just for raves or niche scenes. It belongs right alongside the biggest rock records of the year. In other words, Missing didn't just top a chart. It cracked open the definition of alternative music. It hinted that the post-grunge world was ready for something more atmospheric, more rhythmic, more cosmopolitan. And for a house track to outperform Alanis, Black Grape, Seal, and every guitar band battling it out that year, it's not just surprising, it's a genuine cultural pivot point. That's why Missing was interesting for me as the number one. It's because it didn't just win, it signaled what was coming next.
And thinking about it, like I say the thought in my head was like, wow, I didn't know it came out in 1995. I thought it would have came out just based on the sound like 5 years later. And 5 years isn't like a ton of time. I get that. But I feel like in that kind of weird transitional period that was like the late 90s going into the early 2000s, I feel like 5 years was an eternity.
Yeah, especially when you consider what 1997 and 98 brought with all of the weird, like the shifts to boy bands and Christina Aguilera, and like all of that was right there on that cusp too. And so I feel like this was just that tipping point, right? Like where we started seeing what colleges wanted to hear.
Yeah, it's something we've touched on a number of times, and I have been trying for months, for years now, to figure out a way to package this into its own episode. But just like the discussion of those, like you said, those tipping points, those inflection points of the transition of the musical sounds, whether it is pop, quote unquote, rock, these larger genres that are broken out in these smaller subgenres that are then, kind of flipped on their ear as songs like this, come into view. We've got to figure out a way to wax poetic about that at some point, because that's such an interesting topic. And there are so many of those throughout history, and even ones that we don't think about, such as this. Yeah, I never would have pegged this as like a transitional song.
I don't know if I would have pegged it as a song that would have made that level of impact on the CMJ charts as part of, that. It's paradigm breaking, obviously, for me, having not looked at it, is that your mid-90s in college station, and you, like, as you kind of mentioned coming into it, have a certain expectation of what's going to be there. And then starting, as you said, start that timeline afterwards, putting that together as you go into, you transfer out of what would be post-grunge for that scene and then into what would come next. And it's weird. It's interesting. And I would like to, now that I think about it, dive into those charts for that time to see what that was, what that other edge was considered, what exactly was in demand on college stations in 97 and 98 and maybe 99, as I feel like it was also an unfortunate breeding ground for the progenitors of like rap metal and some other things that blew up right there at the end of the century that were less than desirable trends as well.
Yeah, I'm trying to think about what that might, because I know, like, I feel like the actual progenitors of rap metal and stuff like that would have been like Rage Against the Machine and stuff. And I feel like that would have been really big on college radio. So you might be right.
Well, I will say, and I haven't done obviously a ton of research on it. I've done about 30 seconds worth of research on it, but I've been able to find some of the old CMJ magazines from the 90s and kind of virtually flipping through them just to see kind of what the toast of the town was. And just to give an example, the cover from December 1998 featuring one Marilyn Manson. So that gives you kind of an idea of exactly what you said, Dan, kind of where that led to in the latter years.
It would have been what, Mechanical Animals, like the Coma White stuff?
I would have
that would have been after so. Antichrist Superstar.
Yeah, Mechanical Animals, exactly. Yeah, and granted, the magazine also goes on to mention the Cardigans, so there's a range, of course. There's a range to everything, but yeah, I think that certainly is a sign of the times right there.
Yeah, I mean, and you can, like, some of the other stuff that happened in 95 is quite, like, on the CMJ charts. Like, you could pull up, and you probably found the same site I did, where you can actually, like, click on old editions of it.
Yeah.
But you have to, it's like scanned in, like you have to flip through it.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty great. It's a cool archive. But like Notorious B.I.G.'s Ready to Die is on that list all over the place, and ODB's Dirty Version, The Return to 36 Chambers, is all over the place on there, as well as Players Anthem, the Junior Mafia. But then also, like, they really loved Black Grape that year. Like, remember Bez from Happy Mondays? And like, no, am I alone on this one?
No, honestly, no.
Okay. Weirdly enough, Bez actually showed up on an episode of Would I Lie to You? Never mind. But like, they loved that stuff in the mid 90s. In the Name of the Father was the name of that song. Sorry, I had to find it real quick.
Nice.
But like, just real interesting because in the mid 90s were a time when college radio felt elitist, but still wound up finding the good that was in the pop stuff too. So like I said, the hip hop stuff that was making waves, and then also like Seal somehow still really managed to be big on college radio, and Alanis managed to be really big on college radio. So you find the good. Matthew Sweet was everywhere in 95.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And yet that's none of that. It wasn't hip hop, and it wasn't pop, and it wasn't rock that made their number one. Like, you expect PJ Harvey on a college radio list. You don't expect everything but the girl, really.
You really don't. Nice, dude. Yeah, good kickoff. That was
Thanks.
Awesome. Dan, I can go ahead and dip my toe in next if you're okay with that.
Yeah, we'll work backwards chronologically.
Yeah, that word that I'm not going to try to say.
Nope.
Well, I guess I'll start off by saying, again, my year being 1992, and the Billboard charts of 1992 were littered with acts like Boyz II Men and Mariah Carey. Wait a second. We heard this, didn't we? They were juggernauts. They were all throughout the 90s and beyond, so it's no surprise that they would show up here. Lots of folks that you would also expect to hear from, your Michael Jacksons, your Madonnas, etc. Whitney Houston, of course. Interestingly for me, Jay, your Everything Zen was my I Will Always Love You for a period of time, when I first kind of started to conceptualize what I wanted this to be. But I kind of wanted to branch out a little bit. So I dabbled. I looked around. There were a bunch of songs in the UK charts. There were a bunch of songs in the Canadian charts. But I decided to go to the ARIA charts down in Australia for my pick. A theme, one of two themes of the 1992 Summer Olympics, in fact. And that's going to be kind of the crux of where I'm taking this, like absolute legendary stuff. And to have a song that is not only worthy of being an Olympic theme, but also worthy of being a song that hits number one on a chart, on any chart, it's got to be a pretty good song, and it's got to have some pretty good names behind it. And oh, buddy, does this song ever have some pretty big names behind it. Now, if you happen to know the two theme songs of the 1992 Summer Olympics, you probably still don't know which one of those I'm picking, because the other one also has a lot of legendary names behind it, or at least two legendary names specifically. And that one that I did not pick is the aptly named Barcelona, originally recorded in 1987 by legendary operatic soprano Montserrat Caballé alongside Freddie Mercury. The song is great. Absolutely slaps. Go listen to it after you're done with this episode. But despite a heartfelt re-release in 1992, less than a year after Freddie's untimely passing, it still only peaked at number 2, believe it or not, in the UK as well as the Netherlands and New Zealand. Never did hit number 1. Instead, the song that I did pick did hit number 1 on the aforementioned Australian ARIA charts for 6 weeks within August and September of 1992. And that song is Amigos para Siempre, or Friends for Life. It was the intersection of a great many talents, and we're going to talk about each one of them. A few of them you may not have heard of, a few of them you've absolutely heard of, and at least one of them you maybe have not heard of singularly, but you have heard of his two homies. So let's jump in. Andrew Lloyd Webber. Yeah, that's where we're starting. That's the beginning point of this song. Involved as the composer, of course, composed a million, billion, fulfilling, amazing musicals and all that. Worked alongside two frequent collaborators of his, one being Don Black, lyricist of great renown, himself having worked with several musicals, both of them, of course, working in film to some extent, working in television. Andrew Lloyd Webber composed a Requiem Mass, which made me have to look up what the hell a Requiem Mass is. And I can't tell you because I forgot pretty much immediately as soon as I looked it up, but that sounds cool as hell. I mean, who does that? Who just says, like, I'm going to make a mass? Like, that's Andrew Lloyd Webber does.
It's a Catholic thing.
That's as far as I could have gotten even before looking it up, and as far as I can get with it now after looking it up. So
it's for like honoring the dead. It's a service that's performed for someone who's died.
Very cool.
Sorry,
I should treat it with more respect then. No, thank you. This is what the this is so many things that just happened are exactly what the show is all about. But Weber joined, like I said, by lyricist Don Black and also longtime collaborator Nigel Wright, who himself produced many of the cast recordings of Weber's musicals, including Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat in 1991 and Jesus Christ Superstar in 1996. And then there's the actual vocalists, the actual duo involved, who are no less impressive. First being Sarah Brightman, the star of the West End and Broadway productions of Phantom of the Freakin' Opera, and co-star of the enormous hit Conti Partiro, or It's Time to Say Goodbye, however you'd like to pronounce it. Andrea Bocelli, you know the one, you've heard the song a million times. Sarah Brightman is every bit as good as Andrea on that track, and on every track, she's absolutely astounding. And then Jose Carreras, who you maybe don't know by name, but he's kind of like the third musketeer whose name no one ever remembers. Ethos? No, that's a water. Never mind. He is the other dude with Placido Domingo and Luciano Pavarotti of the Three Tenors. He's done some things in his career. Jose's done pretty well for himself. So that's the kind of star power, that's the kind of stratospheric star power that came together for one track. And yeah, it's every bit as epic as it should be, considering who's involved in it. It's kind of soft, it swells, you get to the big crescendo at the 2:39 mark. Just imagine listening to that with the Barcelona backdrop in the rear view. Just had to have been nothing short of breathtaking for folks who were able to experience it at the time. It's a lot. It's a lot of a song, and it's supposed to be a lot of a song. It's an Olympic theme where, it should go hard. This song goes very, very hard. Definitely reminiscent of the aforementioned I Will Always Love You, in fact, in terms of vocal power, kind of tying all of those strands together. One quick note, Sarah Brightman, interestingly, would go on to perform a second Olympic theme song for the 2008 games. That song, called You and Me, was a collaboration with Chinese singer Leo Huan, and is also a great jam. Definitely go check that out too. But neither that song nor Barcelona can hold up to the power and the majesty that is Amigos para Siempre.
That was a lot, dude. A lot of names.
Was it too much of a lot, or was it enough?
No. I was trying to. I'm really struggling to remember the song at all, and I feel like I should remember the song.
That's the
I
thing.
don't know that it. Oh, sorry, Dan. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I was reminding myself of the song in the background there, and now once I've heard the open, like, okay, now I remember where we're at. It is one of those. I guess for a lot more people going who are of age to remember those, the 92 games would have gone, oh yeah, now I remember that, because it was one of those. I mean, it was everywhere for a month solid there.
Exactly. And I think it was, if you weren't in that slice of time where you'd remember that, I don't know that you would have ever intersected with this song. And we certainly were not of age where we would have remembered Olympic themes at that point in our lives.
I might have. Seriously, if I played it back, I'm sure I would remember hearing it. Maybe not like remember it for what it was.
For sure.
But I mean, I remember watching the 92 games. So maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I remember the 92 games, but I don't remember. I don't think it was as the music from it was as prominent. Like, I do remember more about the 96 games and Gloria Estefan and Reach there in the opening ceremony, as opposed to some of the other things. And now that you mention it, that might be the only other one that I can think of off the top of my head.
Top 5 Olympic themes coming to a fairly kick-ass. That can't work. We've
already got our top 2 now.
Exactly. Exactly.
Do they still do Olympic themes?
They have to, right?
I don't know.
Let's see. A quick
Kendrick
Google
for the Olympic Games, for the Winter Olympics in 26.
Oh my gosh. Can you imagine?
I'm in. I'm here for it.
Apparently it was Games Wide Open was the song.
No, why was Creed anywhere near the Olympics? Good Lord. I don't care what the.
That was a bang on Scott Stapp, I gotta say.
He's a Muppet.
What an unexpected stray.
Nah, actually, that's probably all right.
Oh, shit.
Bjork did the theme for the 04 games.
Fucking A.
All right. And I'm back in.
Quick turnaround for all of us.
Bjork did the theme for the 04 games. Muse did the theme for the London games.
I remember that.
Oh, man, that's a rabbit hole.
Yeah, I think I know what all of us are going to be doing right after this episode.
Yeah, I think I'm going to make a playlist here out of nowhere, which I'm sure was completely unintentional for what you were hoping to do with yours. So we talk more about the concept of the song than the song itself. It was a from what I remember of the song, it was a very pretty song by two incredible voices. And it's very much of a moment in time kind of song, which is interesting too. Did you happen to find out how long it stayed on top of the ARIA charts?
It was a total of 6 weeks that it hung out at number one.
Okay.
It's exactly
longer
the
than
amount of time that Bryan Adams topped our charts.
Speaking of legends.
The interesting part that I would also like to make mention is that there is no declared theme so far that I can find for Milano in just a couple of months.
Interesting. I would guess Winter Games also get themes. Like, it's kind of
They
shitty
do.
if they don't.
Although there really, honestly, there has not been an official Winter Olympic theme since Vancouver. So perhaps there will not be one for Milano. Do not know for sure.
Interesting.
I might be able to continue at a theme that we've kind of been talking about. Because, especially doing stuff like this, we come up with a theme, whether it's conscious or unconscious, but something that can be summed up in a very simple sentence, that time is a very funny thing. It never passes as fast or as slow as we believe it to have done. I'm sure we've all had moments that we think really aren't as far in the past as they actually are, or maybe that are farther in the past than we remember. I know I certainly feel that way about my college years. They don't feel as far back as they actually are, but for some reason my joints and liver make it to a point to remind me of the true timeline every chance they get, which is all a long way to say that the history of music is also very similar to that. As we've just talked about, songs that feel like they should be at one time and they're actually at another. And depending on the artist that we're talking about, 1981 doesn't feel nearly 45 years ago. Some of the songs that hit the top of the charts seem like they would fit in just as well today, especially with the recent run of like retro pop hits that have just exploded over the last 3 or 4 years. But we really are, honestly, God, just a few weeks away from 40 being 45 years out of 81. And one song that topped the Billboard charts for the month of January is one of those that doesn't feel like a 45-year-old song, given to us by an artist that does not feel like he's been gone 45 years because of how large he's loomed over music ever since breaking out in the early 60s. The song that spent 4 weeks as the number one in America in 1981 and was number 4 on the year-end chart that year is Just Like Starting Over from John Lennon. And just to quickly talk about the man himself, and no matter what I'm going to say tonight, there's no way to sum up his life and career. But it is kind of wild to think that the three of us have never lived on the same planet as John Lennon. He was gone before we were all born, but always seemed to have been a massive presence in music because of that influence on multiple generations of songwriters and guitarists and music fans in general. His murder in December 1980 left a void in the music world. In the music and the world at large, that was felt all over, which is also why this song, originally released in October of 1980, climbed its way to the top of the charts in the US, the UK, and 5 other countries. It was also the final single that Lennon released in his lifetime. Just Like Starting Over was the lead single off of Double Fantasy, that the 5th collaborative record released with his wife, Yoko Ono, out about a month before the full double LP, and it was the first new song from Lennon after he took a hiatus in 1975 to focus on spending time with his son. I mentioned it would fit in right at home amongst today's crop of throwback pop tracks, as this one has, a doo-wop bass upon which a framework of Elvis and Roy Orbison is built, which is immediately apparent that this is an homage to a time and place musically. Lennon is even heard in the stripped-down version of this track that was released in 2010 and is saying, "This one's for Gene and Eddie and Elvis and Buddy." It is a light and loose track, a song that John himself didn't think was the best on the record, but it was enough of a pop ditty that he knew it would be a good reintroduction for him to the charts. It's not a heavy sound, and it's not a heavy set of lyrics either. It's a cozy love song and a cozy pop song about a cozy time for the artist. The track starts out describing the trials and tribulations of John and Yoko's marriage before sliding into their reconciliation and rediscovery of what it was great about being with each other. It sounds dismissive to call this a silly love song, and it is. It's absolutely what this is, but it's not a bad thing. It's an announcement that John and Yoko are happy together again. But as I mentioned, also a way to help John reassess his place in the musical landscape at the time. It would be a place that he would unfortunately never get to discover or assume. But this glimpse of an optimistic tone, wrapped in the nostalgia of Lennon's early musical influences, would become tragically and heartbreakingly ironic just weeks after its release, becoming his second and final number one solo hit in the US, which actually was kind of surprising to find out that was the case, given the success of songs like Paul McCartney's solo songs that were there. Ringo Starr and his solo work made to the top of the charts, but John only got two. One of them he shared with Elton John, and one of them wasn't until after his passing.
That's interesting.
Right? Yeah.
Also, if I had like 20 guesses, I would not have guessed that was one of his numbers. If you said he only had two number one singles, that's not going to be my other guess.
Yeah. Because the first one you'd guess only hit number 3.
Yeah, that's wild.
That's wild.
Right?
Yeah, I never thought about it in those terms, Dan, but yeah, that just kind of hit me like a sack of bricks when you said that we have never lived in a world with John Lennon in it.
That's why I picked that song, because I made a list when I was putting this together. I'm sure if in a similar style, which I don't know if we broken the fourth wall on this one, or even had the chance to do so. I just went to those charts and started making lists of things that hit number one and just made a playlist. And it wasn't until I heard that song, I'm like, oh, wow, John Lennon this year. Okay. And then put two and two together. As we're honestly, as we record this, 12 days away from the 40th anniversary of his murder.
Oh my gosh.
And didn't put two and two together. And like, but again, like it doesn't feel like we've never, you know what I mean? Is sort of omnipresent in a lot of not just the musical influences, but on a lot of our musical upbringings. And that's possibly generational, thanks to our parents. Like there was just no way to avoid the Beatles. Period. I don't think there was a way around. Like you'd have to make it. They had to have made an active effort to not hear any of the Beatles, to be unaware of John Lennon or Paul McCartney or George Harrison.
Wow. That's fucking cold. That's so fucking cold, bro. I was waiting. It's like, this motherfucker's going to do it, isn't he? Yep. Sure is. Sure as shit is.
Kind of laid it up a little bit, didn't I?
That is such an interesting intersection of human and song, and how the hell did that one hit number one, and the history. Like, wow. Great choice. Oh my goodness.
I was just checking too, because, talking about the anniversary of his murder and all that, and Mark David Chapman's actually up. He was just up for parole less than 2 months ago as of this recording, and got denied again. He'll be up for parole again in 27.
Oh, jeez.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, he's 70, I think 70 on the nose. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Where?
I think we nailed it, guys.
We did something to it.
Yeah. We had the traditional route. We had both of y'all went very, very cool directions with yours as well. I think we kind of ran the gamut.
Yeah, that's fun.
Just because I was curious and hoping to kind of bring up the content a little bit. I know you mentioned a couple other songs that you thought, hey, this is what I was going to do. Was there anything else that stuck out into you as you were kind of digging into the charts that you're like, oh, I think I can totally do this? Or anything that surprised you that was even an option to do?
Oh man, that's a tough call because like I wanted to like I wrote up a whole thing. Of course I've deleted it, so I don't have that anymore, but I wrote up a whole thing about Everything Zen by Bush and how it ushered in how like 16 Stone basically ushered in the post grunge thing, but that turned out to be far less interesting to me than Everything But the Girl. But no, I mean, really, once I landed on that one, it was that. And then I just kind of had a shift in my brain and went with the other. But those are the only two. I didn't really even consider writing about anything else.
For me, it was originally going to be I Will Always Love You. It was then very briefly, just because they did have an album that came out earlier this year, and I was going to try to tie the two together. I was very briefly going to be a Goodnight Girl by Wet, Wet, Wet. Which did hit number one on one of the UK charts in 1992. I made the right choice.
I think so too. But it's also worth noting that Wet, Wet, Wet released an album in 2025.
That is very, very true.
Yes,
but that's why I ran into like they've been around for a long time.
Yeah,
and then crickets.
Yeah, right, exactly.
And then actually a third song that I originally thought of and quickly shelved because I forgot what year I had. That one I'm not going to disclose in case I get lucky and actually get that year, because I absolutely want to do the hell out of that song because it would be fun as hell. But yeah, that one is going to possibly be saved for a future episode. Dan, what about you? Same question.
Well, I'm going to be completely honest with you. As soon as I look at the list of songs that made number one, my first thought was we're going to troll the shit out of this. And so you almost got a treatise on the Stars on 45.
I knew you were going to say that too.
Or by that, I look like that seems like it'd be a lot of work. What they really deserve is a 500 word or 5,000 word essay on the One That You Love by Air Supply. And I would have painstakingly written a 5,000 word essay on Air Supply. But I
preferred that to Stars on 45.
Yeah.
I saved us. I saved us all that one. When I looked at it in. And the only other thing that I thought about doing, looking at the UK charts, is I looked into a little bit more, and I kind of wanted to talk about the specials and Ghost Town. But then the more I thought about it, I'm like, that moment hit me. And that moment of realization hit me. I'm like, I have to talk about John Lennon here.
Yeah. Good call.
I feel like one of those, as soon as you heard it on your playlist, you were like, of course. Yeah, there's not really anything else.
But if I get 1989 in a future episode, you fuckers are sitting through long form on Kenny G.
As long as it's an instrumental long form, I'm here for it.
I mean, Zach controls the RNG. He could just lie.
He very well could. But what I'm banking on is by the sixth time that we assigned years, he's going to completely have forgotten.
100%.
That will you have as well.
Listen, some of us were scarred by Songbird, okay? And that's unfortunately never too far from our thoughts.
Oh my gosh.
Seek help, man. Seek help.
And listeners, what you need to seek is at Fairly KickAss on Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, and TikTok for all of your social media information about this here podcast. We do post about all the shows that we put out, and we'll post some other fun things too, especially going into the holiday season when there's not really a lot of music stuff going on. We'll save you from the doldrums of the traditional holiday music. We're going to try, at least. We make no promises, but we're going to try. fairlykickcast@gmail.com if you want to email us instead about how much it sucks to hear Christmas music in October. fairlykickcast.com is your source of everything that has nothing to do with the holidays, at least not until later in the year. We might have something holiday specific. If we do, it'll be one episode. It might not be any episodes. We might have a vault in there that we trot out. Dan, I think you had actually alluded to this episode of our top 5 Christmas songs that were not at all traditional for the most part. So we might unearth that one. I think that was a really fun episode. So, but whatever we do, you can find it wherever you find your podcast. Is it Apple Music? Is it YouTube? Is it Spotify? Is it a fourth one? Because I can only name 3, apparently. We've been doing this 5 years, and I can name 3 podcast platforms. I'm very bad at my job.
Pretty sure we're on iHeartRadio?
Yes, thank you. We are indeed on iHeartRadio. We got 4. We got a whole 4. You'll find us on all those as well. If you don't, and the off chance that you don't, as we always say, just let us know in all the ways we just told you, and we will make sure to get on your preferred podcast provider of choice. With that, boys, any parting words to send off this SomeOnes?
No, I got nothing.
Nah, I'm completely tapped out.
I think we're done here then.
Cool.